Hello, good morning, and good evening for the people in the US. This is Atsushi, and I will do the Sashiko Live Streaming today. Just a second. This is from my school. Alright. 皆さんおはようございます。日本でサシコライブやっていこうと思います。日本語は明日じゃなくて今日の夜、日本時間の今日の夜の10時半頃にできる予定です。ただ、実は、娘の学校がちょっと休みになるかもしれないみたいな感じなので、ギリギリになっちゃうかもしれないですけど、アップデートします。ちょっと待ってね。Okay, I will start. I will talk about, this is the Sashiko live streaming that I will stitch, and I will talk about something related to Sashiko. Probably today I will mainly focus on the QuiltCon 2022 that I went there. I was planning to have photos from there, but I did not have time to prepare that, so I might talk more. I probably should edit those stories with the credit. I do not want to share the photos without the proper citing or credit of the artist. So I will talk about the specific quilting in a different video. I will try to film it and also edit it. Today I will talk about the general information and how I felt about the QuiltCon as one Sashiko stitcher. That's what I'm gonna do tonight. Okay? ありがとうございます。それでは英語版始めていきたいと思います。カメラ切り替えます。I will switch the camera. Hello, hello. I hope everybody is having a good time, good evening today. I don't know how many were there anybody who was attending the Miss Wada Yoshiko Sensei's talk? Sashiko, not a Sashiko. It's a stitchery talk series, and it was today for the third episode 3, and it was from. It was presented by Momiyama Sensei, Momi-san. He's a Sashiko stitcher or borrow stitcher or expert in Sweden who is offering the workshop and exhibitions in Sweden. It was really good to hear about Sashiko and borrow from somebody else from Japan who is working on Sashiko and borrow for a long time. If you were there, of course I'm not going to repeat everything, but if you were there, probably you found a lot of similarities between what I said and what he said. We have never met, and we have even not talked. We just exchanged some emails to introduce each other before this. So I don't know him very much, but he has not taken my workshop or my lecture. So we are not so much in common for that matter. But what we have said, what we have shared is quite similar. I hope that was pretty similar. So it explains that what I'm saying is not really a one person's opinion, and that makes a lot of encouragement. That encouraged me a lot. So the next the stitchery talk webinars, the episode 4 will be me. I will be there. Yoshiko sensei told me that I will be in charge of that one episode at the end of the March, which is probably March 31st, I believe. And I will talk about Sashiko in English or in the US, in Northern America. I do not represent the whole Sashiko in northern part of America, so I will talk about something I feel something I like to share, which is probably exactly what I'm doing here. So I will, of course, make a presentation. I will summarize it into 1 hour, but you will pretty much listen to what I usually say here. Sashiko in English is not wrong, but not sufficient. Oh, I missed some stitches. I just ate. Oh, one thing, if I can give you a good advice when you do Sashiko stitching, don't eat chips before stitching. And if you decided to eat chips, make sure to wash it well. Otherwise, it'd be a mess. Like, Sharon, thank you. Were you there? Oh, I did not see that. Oh, I found Z there, but I should have found you, Sharon. How are you? Yes, it was really interesting to hear from the other Sashiko stitchers, and I hope you felt the same way about that. I mean, some of those people who learn from me, they don't need any of my advice or help. They, including Sharon here, you have your own Sashiko, and I respect that. I learned from that, so. I mean, thanks to those who learned from me, I am 100% sure that I can share the Sashiko we have been practicing. Before 2018, I was not before 2017, I was not 100% sure that I can teach Sashiko without teaching the Japanese language. I still believe that there's a big advantage to learn Japanese language when you learn Sashiko. But at the same time, I was kind of thinking, is it must? Is it must, or is it something optional? And those who are here and those who are stitching prove that it does not require Japanese language. Of course, it requires some attention, some very willingness to learn what Japanese culture is gonna be. So it's not easy. It's not gonna be the easy answers, but I'm pretty sure that we can do that. Interesting that he was focused on repairing Boro and mending his own clothes. Yeah, it was really interesting to see his work. It is one part of Sashiko. He said that he does not like preparing the fabric, or preparing the pattern on the fabric. Probably that's what he said, I guess. But that's quite true. The Sashiko I have been practicing is somewhat focused on the sustainable, not in terms of sustainable from the actual recycling, but we try to sustain the culture as the sort of industry. Therefore, mending or fixing our own clothes was sort of the secondary. In fact, some people really did not. Some of the artisans I grew up with really didn't like the mending part. Not some, almost every, including myself. So it's a completely different kind of Sashiko, but it is Sashiko and it is Boro. What is his name? Takao Momiyama, I guess. He's on the Instagram and I follow him. So if you, he has a very interesting Boro pieces. I probably shouldn't say Boro pieces because I might give you the misunderstanding. If you follow my account, I have a pretty specific understanding of Boro. So in terms of that, what he makes is to be Boro. Please refer to what I mean by to be plural, but so Takao Momiyama. Takao Momiyama 先生。So the talk was available, is available. Talk is the, as long as I know, it might be wrong, but as long as I know, the talk is this a series of 8 episodes about the stitchery in Japan. So it does not have to be the Japanese Sashiko stitching. I think it includes a lot of things, including Boro, Sashiko, Hitomezashi, Koginzashi, a lot of things. And yes, it was the 3rd one today. So it'll be the 4th one next month, and I will be in charge. After that, I don't know when, but somebody or Wada Sensei by herself is gonna responsible or in charge, take responsibility for that. So let's see. But yeah, it is available, and it's through this it's through the Slow Fiber Studio. I think that was the name. She has quite many. She has several organizations, and one is the Shibori Network Foundation, and the other one is, well, I mean, she's gonna give me a pretty strict comment, like I'm supposed to remember all of those. So she has 2 foundations, like one foundation, Shibori Network Foundation, and Slow Fiber Studio. I think she's gonna make one non-profit and others. Sorry, that's through her. That's through her. So it's not through my any account. So I respect her really much for what she is trying to do and what she has done, of course, so far. So it is my honor. It is my honor to be part of it. And there's no doubt. It's really no brainer to even, like, I try to choose the media often. I do not want to be on any medias. First, I kind of don't like the media. Second, usually when I receive a request from media, they have already article or videos written or prepared. They need somebody's voice for that. And if I say something different from what they wrote or what they filmed, they will kind of cut and paste. I have done that, and I have seen that before. So I try to be careful when I get a request from magazine. So I don't really do for money, but sometimes asking for the compensation is gonna very much filter those people who already wrote the article, because they cannot pay the second writer for the article they already wrote. So they need somebody's voice who is sort of in the field as the expert, but I'm not there to give that only my voice. I want to explain, I want to deliver the whole message. For that, I'm not worried about being on her media, because I know what she's trying to do. There is a fee. Yes, I believe that there's a fee to watch each one, and I think there was a ticket to get a all season, including the recording one. So, I mean, it's her business, so I try to support her that. But yeah, she's gonna charge fees for things I mumble every Thursday. So, well, you know this channel, you follow me, you support what I do, so that's a gift that I'm, I don't want to say gift. It is not the place to, I don't want to make this as one way. It is one way because I am the one who offer the live streaming, and I have a privilege to just talk, and you have to type it. At the same time, I don't want to make this space as the learning opportunity. I don't want to make this Sashiko Live as the lecture or workshop. I want to be a place to talk about something. Of course, since I am the Japanese and I'm the sort of the teacher side, it's gonna be one direction mainly. But at the same time, that's not my goal to make it only one direction. So I used to have a Sashiko talk with friends, and it might happen in the future again when I'm ready, when the others are ready too. I might have something else as well. So this is going to be a place for you to come and stitch without worrying about anything. That's what I want to have. So no answers, no right and wrong. No judgment for that. Only the sort of respect to the word for Sashiko, as well as the stitching itself. Just get my leg cracked. Oh, the QuiltCon. QuiltCon. I was going to talk about the QuiltCon. It was a great 4 days in QuiltCon. At the same time, it was very, very challenging for me. It was very, very challenging. I don't remember the last time I was that tired. Extremely tired. I really don't remember the last time I was that tired. When was that? Probably when I had my daughter. The first few months that I was kind of stay-at-home dad, that I had to, keep feeding her. That was probably the time I felt that much tired. Oh my god, what's going on today? The reason I was really tired in the QuiltCon is that there was a mask mandate, and I respect it. I respect it sincerely. I have no problem with that. And that was a very, very great and brave decision to do it, because that could lose some participant. It's not, the mask mandate is sort of not the trend right now. It's not about being trend or not, but many places offer the no mask. Even schools sometimes offer the no mask policy. Mask is kind of optional. And so for that, I really respect that they made a rule to have a mask as a mandate. At the same time, as a teacher, it was extremely challenging, not because I could not speak, not only I could not speak out loud like this. I mean, I had to kind of scream to communicate, but I practiced that. I practiced to have a good voice through the mask before the workshop. I talked for 6 hours with a mask, so that was not something I experienced in the QuiltCon. It was expected and prepared for that, so it was not that difficult. The difficulty was that I could not see the people's face. The mask covers everything below the nose and mouth. I did not realize how much I use their facial expression to find who is suffering and who is getting it. In my teaching, there's always a moment that one gets what I'm teaching. It could be like 30 minutes after I share everything. If somebody's really sort of I wouldn't say obedient. If somebody is good at catching the rhythm, they might feel that the rhythm in like 30 minutes, but usually it takes about 3 to 4 hours, 6 hours, sometimes 12 hours. It depends on the people, but it is my goal to find that moment in those 6 hours workshop. Uh, Usually I can feel that somebody's getting it there or somebody's struggling with it very much. In the online class, I do have the online live session like this, and I can see the hands movement fully. That's a completely better situation because I can actually see their suffering one by one. So that's another reason that I kind of recommend online class. Watching the hand is much better than watching the face because the hand um, literally explain that why or how they're suffering. Facial expression tell me the moment that they might be suffering or enjoying. So it's a cue that I can start checking their hands and movement. Not today, in this QuiltCon, I have to guess, I have to sense that by their sort of whole body's movement, their eyes. So that was quite challenging, more challenging than I thought. I'm stitching without a pattern to see how straight my lines are. They are not straight at all. Um, thank you for the comment. That's a very good practice if you can stitch without any line prepared, and if it's gonna go straight or not. And it is perfectly fine to not to go straight. I don't think I'll go straight. That's pretty much your characteristic. I probably feel scared when somebody can stitch straight without worrying without having the pattern. It's really it's very rare. Let me put this way: it's very rare to have extreme like 100% or very clear straight line when you focus on the rhythm. When if you stitch one stitch by one stitch, it's not. It is almost possible. But if you are in the rhythm of stitching and then there's no lines, and if you can make a straight line, uh, that's very rare. I wouldn't say crazy because somebody probably can do it, but we human-wise, we always have the kind of a tendency to go either right or left. It's kind of difficult to just go straight all the time. And the more we do not pay attention to that, those significance, those patterns become significant. So it is very natural to not to go straight. It's kind of good sign, to be honest. If you don't go straight, that means that you're just focusing on the rhythm. That's exactly what I'm going to do in the beginning of Sashiko stitching. So that's a good thing. Don't worry about it. Don't judge yourself. Don't judge that stitching. It is probably even good stuff to do that. So don't worry about it. Let me know if you can do the perfect run, like perfect straight line without any lines when you're in the rhythm. I would like to learn from you in that case. I have to learn from you. But yeah, besides that, it was a really difficult. At the same time, I believe that everybody was happy in the workshop. It's not easy to hug. It's not easy to communicate in this condition, but with the reviews or feedbacks I received, I believe that many people enjoy that. And about the QuiltCon itself, it was I respect it sincerely for having it in person in this condition. It was a big big relief for many people who are in the quilting or even hand stitching industry or even sewing industry. We were almost everybody actually, it was very difficult to have fairs or festival or show for a long time. And having that one in the Phoenix was one big surprise, as well as the big success for that. I think the first time I was in the QuiltCon was in 2020. I was invited to teach Sashiko, but I did not know anything about QuiltCon. I did not know anything about quilt, to be honest. I did not know how Sashiko can be the part of quilting. I did not even know what the festival is like. So the first time was very much like jumping into another country. I did everything I could, and then they decided to have me again. Thank you. That's very appreciated. But this time I knew what quilt was, what QuiltCon would be, and what is the Modern Quilt Guild is gonna be. And I talked to a lot of quilters after the QuiltCon 2020, so I had some expectations, I had some preparation for the quilting, and I have an answer to the difference between quilting and Sashiko for that, actually. I kind of found the answer. My answer, it's not probably your answer. And I will try to make a quilting, I guess. I don't know if I have enough time to make one quilt for the next QuiltCon, but I will start seeing the possibility of doing that. For that, I have to be I have to focus on the art perspective, which I'm not doing right now. I'm just focusing on talking, so my stitching or my outcome is not so much to share or show. But I will start looking into my possibility as well. Will I go to the QuiltCon next year in Atlanta? I hope so. I hope so, but it's not my decision to make. I, of course, will apply as the faculty if they open that. But I'm not on the orthodox, so I'm not on the kind of common path of quilting. Sashiko is kind of different for that. So if the QuiltCon does not, and the trend changes, Sashiko, I was invited because Sashiko became a trend, and many people were interested in that. So it is very natural for me to be there when they chose me, when they found me. But if the trend ends, that would be very much difficult, unless I make like a Sashiko quilting workshop, which I probably will not. Perhaps my mother would make a quilt for QuiltCon. That's one possibility, which I cannot trust my mother for that, so I have to talk to her as well. Something is going on today with my thread. What's going on? Sakura, did you play with this? Did you play with this thread? The thread is very strange today. Why? But yeah, I would love to go. I would love to go again in Atlanta. And the 2014, they even decided for the 2014, it's gonna be North Carolina. I don't know how to pronounce that big city. It's not a. Wait, I completely forgot the big city in North Carolina. It's not Charlotte. It's not Charlotte. It's the Ray starting from R. E something. Right there. So, yeah, if you like quilting, if you enjoy quilting, that's a very good place to go. So many good stuff and so many good people. I wish I could spend more time with the others, but I had only like 30 minutes on the Saturday night to check the quilting show, and another 30 minutes next day. So, really, thank you, really, there we go. Appreciate it, really. So, North Carolina, really. Thank you. I'll remember that. Is it like... I checked the state of North Carolina once because my wife got a job in the Chapel Hill. We decided not to take it. She decided not to take that job, but she got an offer from the Chapel Hill, so I know where the Chapel Hill is like, and I think I know where the Charlotte is. So I don't really know where it really is. But I respect that. And it was quite interesting to have somebody ask me, is it okay to use Sashiko on the quilting? And to be honest, I did not expect to have that answer in the QuiltCon. Like those questions, I received those questions, but for some reason I did not expect to have that question. So when I received that question, I got a little puzzled. Like, why not? Like, literally, why not? Of course, please use Sashiko in the quilting. And, well, if you follow this account, you know that. Just, try to not to ignore the voice from Japanese people behind it. But for those who takes my class, who keep listening to what I say, they are actively learning what Sashiko is. So I have no problem with sharing them using Sashiko. Did I see any quilt with Sashiko in the show? It really depends on the definition of Sashiko, but I believe there was no quilt titled with Sashiko, like, Sashiko quilt. Anybody can name Sashiko quilting, so as long as I checked it, I did not find any quilting with naming it Sashiko stitching, which, by the way, perfectly fine. And when it comes to the hand stitching quilting, of course, there are similar stitching patterns in Sashiko and quilting. So there were, of course, quilting looks like Sashiko, or, Sashiko may be similar to the quilting they made. I don't know which is first, and it doesn't matter which is first. That explains, like, I have been thinking, what is the difference between the quilting and Sashiko? And the answer is, there is no such a thing as difference. It is different. It is different. But that's because of the cultural stories behind it. But the idea of saving, idea of appreciating the fabric with stitching is quite the same. Well, if there's only one example that I can guess, is that the religious belief behind our culture. So if we, not if, since the American culture is mainly based on the one God, monothesis, So I don't know that one, but we believe in one God, so there's always the answer. There's always way to make it good. So preciseness, preciseness, the accurate. Being accurate is quite important in this culture. For that, piecing fabric into the quilting is one big skill to have. So controlling the needle, controlling the machine, controlling the thread, controlling the fabric to stabilize or to balance it as we think under our control is a very big skill in quilting. It is the same in Sashiko, but because of the background difference, the cultural or religious belief difference, we focused on sort of the balance instead of the accuracy. Movement instead of the result, the process instead of the result. So those are the differences if I can sort of dig into, but as a summary, I did not really find any significant difference. So that's why I can kind of feel like I can probably try to make quilting. So I kind of keep asking, what is the definition of quilting? And it's the top cloth and batting and then back cloth, right? That's kind of modern. No, that's the traditional definition of quilting. The top cloth, usually with piecing fabric in the batting or cotton things in between, and back cloth, right? That's probably the standard definition of quilting. But because it's the modern quilt guild and also the QuiltCon, it does not have to be that. They say it does not have to be that specific tradition. So if that's so, is this quilting, kind of? It's the top piece, there's a cushion, there's a cotton inside, and back. It's exaggerating example, but since it's more free than I thought, and I think I'm not gonna hurt somebody's feeling by me trying to do quilting, I'd like to try that. It's 3 layers, but how about 2 layers? How about without the back fabric, like lining fabric? Don't they sometimes call it quilting? Quilting has to be multiple layers. That's something really I have to learn, because the definition was not so strict in my feeling. Probably there's like a category of submission of the pieces, so you have to follow some of the standard, like hand quilting must use more than 20 or 30% of the quilting has to be hand stitched. Like those rules are gonna be there, but in a big definition of quilting, it might be more than easier than I thought. The quilting goes through all the layers, including the batting, traditionally to stabilize the batting. Okay. Thank you. So if I stitch, let's not use this one. Okay, that makes sense. So it's gonna go. That makes sense. But yeah, it seems like that it does not always have to be like that. Always? Okay. Quilting always has 3 layers. Okay, always. See, like I sometimes find that, not sometimes. I don't know what is the truth, what is the answer for that, but some people say the quilting has to have always 3 layers. Okay, I mean, I understand that. If there's any rules, I would follow it. sometimes I see people saying that does not always have to be 3 layers. So it's like, thimble discussion. Like, what, like, do we have to use the thimble? Do we have to, can we call Sashiko if we do not use the thimble? If those are the discussion we can have. And some people say that we have to always use the thimble. That's one example. That's one sort of the culture. The other people may say that, no, we do not have to use the thimble. It is okay to have a different understanding, and as the comments say that we can break the rules. But when we break the rules or tradition, I do not want to go around it. For example, if the stitching 3 layers together to fix the bedding in between is the standard or traditional quilting, I would like to try that first. So I choose to break the rules because I cannot do it is not acceptable. Huh? I think I said it right. So let's say I have never done, well, not never. I don't have much experience in stitching 3 layers of fabric, including the bedding. And I'm not good at stitching with the sewing machine. So let's say that I would like to make a quilt with 1 layer or 2 layers. That's already breaking a rule or tradition. It is perfectly fine to break the rules when they know the basic, when they know the traditions. But unfortunately in Sashiko, many people are jumping to the easier answers, easier conclusions without facing to the fact, I guess. Fact. So if it's don't, so I don't do this because I don't like it, it's perfectly fine statement. Like, I don't like thimbles, I'm not gonna use it. It's perfectly fine. I do. Battery exhausted? Just a second, okay? I'm sorry. Battery exhausted. Where is the battery? Come on. Just give me a minute. Just a second. Battery exhausted? Why? Just a second, okay. Oh. Oopsie. I'm sorry. I apologize. Is it back? Okay. So, excuse me. There's a significant difference between don't and can't. And that's what I would like to make sure that, even in the quilting. Like, okay. I cannot read that, I'm sorry. It's a single piece. So yeah, there are a lot of rules or how it should be in many culture or many technique, many tradition, many practice. And it is us who either respect that rules or standard. And it is our choice. It is our choice. Like, breaking the rule is, some people say, freedom. That's personal choice to make it more creative or artistic. That's true. I'm not gonna argue with that. At the same time, in order to break some rules, one has to kind of be able to follow the rules. I cannot follow the rules, therefore I want to break it. It's a little bit too much, especially in the cultural practice. There are fusible batting available, so heat can be used to stabilize the batting. That might be, that might be another case. Some people say it's good. Some people might say it's not the good way. I don't know, and I would like to learn. I would like to learn first what is the standard, what is not the standard. If I wanna get out of the standard, I would like to be able to do the standard first. And that's pretty much all I ask, even in Sashiko. For example, like Lisa and Sharon here, if they decided to go completely outside of the Sashiko tradition, Sashiko standard, and then decided to call their stitching Sashiko, my initial reaction would be, can I learn that from you? Because I would like to see the connection between the stories, between their between their outcome and the stories they would probably can share. So, like, there gotta be a reason that they call it Sashiko, if it does not look like Sashiko. But I know that both of them can do the Sashiko I practice. So I would like to kind of understand and probably learn from them for that. I wonder how nice it is to stitch through fusible padding. I usually have a strong preference for natural fabric due to the way they try to feel and how the needle passes through. How about me? I do not like fusible. So some people, I do. To be honest, this is the answer. I do not have experience with the stitching with the fusible interface. I do not have that stitching with the fusible batting, because for us, fusible interface, fusible batting is the last thing we put before the sewing, like tailoring. There was some article or some tutorials even, saying that for Sashiko mending, which I did not feel comfortable to keep reading. But anyway, he or she said that we should use the fabric glue to stabilize the patch before we start stitching. And I thought, well, let's try that if she says so. If that's the case, let's try that. And then I tried it. I bought it like a super glue-ish kind of thing for the fabric. I purchased that, and I did not like it. It ruins the experience. It's pretty much ruined all the experience of stitching, and I feel like it was pretty secured. Like the glue was very strong. Of course, if I kept washing it, probably it's gonna come off eventually, but it should not come off that easily because it's a glue for those who does not stitch. So I stopped using that glue because of two reasons. One, I did not like the rhythm that I could create with that glue. Second, I did not see the point of stitching when I glue the fabric on. It was strong enough. So I kind of gotta wait till the glue started coming off. Then I might be able to stitch, but when the glue comes off, the patch is gonna come off anyway. So it's one step extra anyway. Thank you for stitching time. It was lovely stitching together virtually. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for coming. I will do that almost every Thursday. I don't know how long I'm going to be doing for each night, but it is always here. Please bring your stitching materials. Please share your ideas or comment or anything. I want to make a place where we can all stitch together virtually. So I don't know what is the answer. Probably the sewing machine is not gonna ruin the experience. Probably. I'm not judging anything. I just want to make sure that I can do everything. At least I have done everything. So I don't The one statement I really have to kind of speak up and to change is that I have no idea how to use the thimble, but I don't need the thimble. Is a really weird statement, right? Like it's probably not just me. I hope it's not just me. So I understand that they don't know how to use the thimble, but that does not jump to the conclusion that Sashiko does not require a thimble. I just simply don't understand this logic. So I don't want to do the same thing in different culture. So I like to try. I've been stitching almost 1 hour already. Oh my. Sashiko is the time eater. This is something I keep saying now in the workshop. It eats time. Yeah, the quilt on the many beautiful quilt, and some of them are almost impossible for me to make. I don't know how they can make those beautiful pieces. So I gotta start where I can do. It was really inspirational, and my conclusion is that I would like to try the quilting one day, and I would like to learn, probably from the scratch. And then one day I can try to kind of combine those things, like my professional plus the quilting, the new skill. I may be able to make one piece that I can submit to the QuiltCon. Maybe this year, maybe next year, or maybe 10 years from now. Something's wrong with this time today. Did I write down anything else that I was supposed to do today? No, another great time in QuiltCon. Yeah, review. When I wrote this description, I was planning to bring the videos or some video clip or the photos from the QuiltCon, but I think it's better, it's more appropriate to edit the video instead of showing the photos here without any editing. So I will do that, edit, and then upload it later on with my official reviews, not like my mumbling reviews where I have no idea what I'm talking about. I am sharing my honest feedback, but it does not make it official. What are you doing, Sakura? But yeah, one day I'd like to meet everybody who keeps stitching after my workshop. It's gonna be very fun. The opposite case is probably happening, and I would like to see that some people who learn Sashiko is now integrating their Sashiko and their initial skill of quilting. That's gonna make one interesting piece. So it's probably faster than me trying to quilting. So I like to see those things whenever the quilt COVID is over. Yep, so that was the QuiltCon. Another summary. I would like to go south. Why do I live in Pennsylvania? Out of nowhere. It was warm, dry, nice. I don't know why I live in. Well, I love Pennsylvania. Don't get me wrong. I love it here. I have no specific complaints besides being cold and snowy. I just don't know why I chose. Well, I know why, because of my family and availability, but I don't have a family in the US. We could have chose any places to move to, and it's so funny that we are not stuck. I mean, I didn't say stuck, we are in the Pennsylvania. So that's really interesting. Would you have to use Sashiko through these 3 layers? How about just the top layer and some few stitches through all 3 layers? I don't know. Listen, I really don't know. That's something I have to try and talk to somebody who is in the quilting field. That might be the case. Some people say that's okay, and some people say that's not okay. And I would like to respect both ideas, and I would like to be able to try both of those. Wait, you're the quilter. You are the quilter, so you can define that too. So I will ask you, if I decided to make something, can this be quilting? Although I'm not gonna probably do this, blah blah blah. I think there's no such a thing as the answer for that, actually. There are many standards that depends on where and when they practice it. But it's, after all, stitching for the family, I guess. Hello, hello, hello. I will learn. Give me some time to learn. I am not a very good learner, as you know. I really do not. Like, I'm very stubborn for that. So I keep saying in the workshop that you'll be fine, you'll get it one day, just give me some time and trust me that you're gonna be fine. The reason I keep saying that, the reason I can keep saying that is because I'm one of those who cannot adjust to new skills so easily. I don't think I can. I mean, I will be able to do over time, but I'm not a first learner for that matter, so it is perfectly fine to not do it fast. And you've been doing that. Okay, you've been doing that. So then, there we go. One answer there. It's really, how can I say, it's very astonishing to see so many people focusing on quilt in those 3 or 4 days. I don't think there are going to be that many people, even if I have a Sashiko association or something like that, and if I even have a show in Japan. Maybe, well, there's a Kogin festival, so you can join that one day. But Kogin is not what I do mainly. And it is very different. It's extremely different. It's the same idea, same culture, similar culture, with very different outcome. So I'll be not a complete, but I'll be a very beginner in Kogin. So it was very astonishing to see so many people enjoying quilting. Because if you don't like quilting or even fabric, that's not fun. It's really not a fun place to be. It's just the quilting. I mean, I shouldn't say just, but I enjoy it because I like fabric. But if for the people who does not really have any interest in fabric, I don't mind staying there for a whole day, studying every single pieces, because I will associate what they made to what I can make in the future, what I may make in the future. But if one does not have that experience or interest, that can be quite challenging time. So it was very surprising to see good people there. Okay, 1 hour. Next year is in Atlanta. Atlanta. Have I been there? Probably yes. Korean Festival. Yes, there are. I think there are more people. I don't want to say younger generation, but there are more younger generations in Kogin who can focus on the internet or website or even marketing on the web. And it is kind of easier to follow Kogin and Hishizashi because there are some standard and rules. You have some answers for that matter. So it's not easy to master or even learn, but it's easy to follow. And because of that, I don't think that's like a few thousand people's festival, but there were Korean festival before the COVID, and some of my students went there. Well, if you want to learn Korean from me, wait for my student teaching Korean. Some of them are just great. I think they are better than the teachers on the internet, but they are very humble to even they're even very humble. So oops, I stitched myself. It happens. Okay, I will finish this live streaming after this one long thread. I think that my cat Sakura played with this thread when I'm gone. While I'm gone, it's a little different. I don't know what is different, and I secured it with the nice wrapping paper, not a wrapping paper, nice bobbing paper, but she probably touched a little bit, played. It's really not comfortable to stitch this long line. I gotta use it for something else, like short, something, something with the short lines. This is denim fabric with long. It's a denim fabric, so the damaged or a little bit modified Sashiko thread in the long stitching line can really ruin the experience. So I will use this thread for the smaller project. It's kind of scary for that because when we really start focusing on the tools like thread, thimble, thread, thimble, needle, we kind of can tell that if somebody touched it or not. Just touching like this is not gonna make a difference, but I can tell if somebody used my needle or not for the stitching, even thimble for that. Thread, if somebody kind of touched it and play with it while, I probably can tell. Especially if it's a cat, I can absolutely tell because cat has a pretty long nail. Or if something is completely weird, wrong, something is different, and there's nothing going on around, it's because of me feeling different. That's another way to accept the change. Based on how we are, the feeling can be different. So Sashiko can be a nice indicator to who we are or what we do. If you are watching this live streaming as the archive, please leave the comment with questions. I do not, I mean, it's really not my intention. I know it is a very bad thing to do, but I do not reply the comment, but I do read them. I apologize for not replying. I do read them, so we'll pick up the comment for the next theme if that's the case. So please leave the comment if you have any questions or requests for the topic. And I will always be here for the stitching time on Thursday night around 9 p.m. Eastern time. Today I was late a little bit. I'm so sorry about it, but I will try to be punctual as well. And I would like to make this place as the I would like to make this time as the place to gather without any worrying, judgment, or responsibility, or guilt, or sense of responsibility. Just be here. I want you to be here and then ideally stitch something together with listening to my mumbling. My mumbling is not that important. I just want you to be here and then stitch together. No, it does not have to be there actually. I want you to have some moment to stitch together so we can, focus on what we have now. Stitching is the process of healing. That's a really famous phrase, and we can probably all agree with that. Stitching itself is a healing process, and we all feel that. At the same time, we cannot depend on the stitching that much to heal everything. It's not the medicine, it's more like the supplement. So it is good to have, it is always feel better after taking it, but it's not gonna fix or kill the thing. It's not gonna fix it. So it is recommended to kind of maintain or mindfully rely on the needle stitching to be good with. Like I say, I forget. I'm too busy that I cannot stitch for 2 months because I got stressful. So I will start stitching. It is gonna help a little bit, but that's really not the solution or remedy. I much prefer to have it repeatedly so that we can keep feeling the relaxation or heals from that. Well, it's probably not the best advice because everybody here might be stitching every single night. So it's probably not the brilliant advice because "da" might be the answer for that. But sometimes I see the comment that they romanticize Sashiko as if it's gonna solve everything. No, it's not gonna solve anything. It's really not that powerful. It's just stitching. It's all good that we romanticize it, but putting too much expectation in one thing can destroy what it is, and I'm afraid of that too. So, okay, today about 1 hour and plus a little bit. Thank you very much for coming to the Sashiko live streaming on Thursday night live streaming. We keep stitching every Thursday night while talking about Sashiko. And I would like to continue this. I would like to continue this as much as I can. I could not continue this. I could not get a rhythm. I could not get the balance when the COVID started. After so many months, so many years of adjusting, I feel finally, not finally, I now can sort of force myself to be here, encourage myself to be here, and that's what I would like to do. The stability is pretty important, so Cheryl, this has been an interesting and positive time to stitch together. Thank you, Atsushi. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate the time together. So what I'm doing right now is to make the sorry. The things I'm doing right now is to make a sort of the carton for. There's a little shelf, where the place I'm trying to hide the boxes under, and I like to cover that underneath of the shelves with some fabric, and I am making that carton. I might use it as the part of the medium Sashiko, but it's pretty long. It's probably 3 or 4 meters length, and then I will keep stitching. It's really not that difficult. I haven't completed it. It's really not that difficult. It just takes some time, but not that horrible amount of time. Probably 5 or not a 5. If I do enough live streaming, it's gonna be done in a matter of time. So I'll keep doing it. Besides that, thank you so much for watching. I will come back next Thursday. I will come back tomorrow. I will come back in 12 hours or so, even less than that. I will come back in 10 hours to have the live streaming in Japanese. You can of course leave the comment in that live streaming, but I might not answer that in English. So if you could come back on the Thursday night with the stitching project, that'd be really appreciated. Right, thank you so much for watching, and then I will see you next Thursday. Bye bye.